My name is Melinda Scott. I was born December 7th, 1959, and I was born in Fairborn, Ohio. My dad's name is Ronald Gordon Hansen. My mom's name, Inez Merle Carter, but people called her Merle. My dad was born in New Zealand, and when he was 6 years old, he moved here to America. My mom was born here in Provo, Utah. I have 6 sisters and 1 brother. I'm number 7. Excuse me, I'm wrong. Edit that out. I'm number 6. I'm a twin. So my twin sister is number 7. So I'm number 6. My mom never had to work. She was just a full-time mom taking care of 8 children. My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around quite a bit. After my father retired from the Air Force, he became vice president and dean of Southern Illinois University for about 8 years. And then we moved to Utah, and he became the president of a company and established a company with a business partner called Eyring Research Institute. And he did that until he retired. I graduated from Orem High School, right here in Utah. I graduated in 1978. Did a few years in college. First I went to college here. It's UVU now, but back then it was Utah Technical College. And I went for about 2 years, and then I went up to Logan, Utah, went to Utah State University, did 2 semesters there, and then moved back here and did 1 semester at BYU, and then I was done. I haven't been back to college since. I served my mission I went in February 1981. I first went to Ventura, California. And then after about 5 weeks, I got transferred to the east. I went to Washington, D.C. And I was there for 9 months. And then I got transferred back to California to Fresno to open up the deaf program there. I didn't really date much until I met Greg Scott, my husband, later on. We had 5 children together. So we met through a BYU deaf workshop. And he was just so good at signing, and I was just getting in, learning signing, still mostly talking. So he moved back home, and then a year later he moved back to Utah and went to a deaf branch, and we met again there. And then I decided to go on a mission. And at that time, I was really starting to like Greg, so I was like, I don't know if I should go on my mission or stay home. And I asked him what to do, and he said, it's your decision. So I felt like I should go on a mission. So we kept in contact. We promised each other to just keep in contact. So I went on my mission. We wrote to get back and forth to each other. Came home and bumped into each other and started dating again, and 2 weeks later we were engaged. We were married in November 1982, married in the Provo Temple.
But I guess the queen will do. I've been looking for the king of diamonds.
I have 5 children. My 4 boys, 1 girl. My girl is the baby of the family, my baby girl. And my oldest son, Greg, is married to Shanna. They have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. And then Jason, he's a sweet boy. He isn't married, doesn't have any kids, no problem. I like to pick on him a little bit to give me some grandkids, but it's all good. Blake is married to Megan, and they have 2 girls, and coincidentally, their oldest daughter is also deaf, so we have that fun bond there, both being deaf. You know, I love all my grandchildren, of course, but, you know, just one deaf granddaughter, so that's fun. Derek is married to Kelly, and they have 3 kids together, 2 girls, 1 boy. They're all cute, precious grandchildren, and then the youngest is my daughter, Savannah. My husband and I divorced. It was a very friendly divorce. After all the kids were grown, we divorced in April of 2014. I became deaf when I was about 18 months old, and my twin sister also became deaf at 18 months old. So luckily we had each other. You know, looking back, I was like, how did we communicate? It was just some sort of twin telepathy, I guess. I don't know. But my parents noticed that we were having a hard time hearing when we were 18 months old. My dad got home and was, you know, super excited, saying, "Oh, Daddy's home," and we just kept looking down playing, and they're like, "Oh." When we were about 3.5, we went to the hospital to have surgery to get our tonsils and adenoids taken out, and we also had tubes put in our ears because the doctor thought there might be fluid build up, and if we could drain it, that might help get some of the hearing back. It was very terrifying for us. We, you know, tried to run away and try and find our parents. We both would just cry so much, and one thing my mom kind of told me, she's like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive that you remember that because you're so young." We remember being on the gurney on the way to surgery and seeing the lights above us. And then after that, waking up with just a very sore throat and neck. And, you know, my sister was in a different bed. So I crawled out of my bed and tried to climb in with her bed. And the nurse was so stubborn, she kept putting me back in my bed and telling me to stay there. And I would just keep climbing out of my bed. And finally there was a 12-year-old boy across from us. And he said, "Just let her go and see what she wants." So the nurse said, "Okay." And my mom told me this story, so I got out of my bed, climbed over to my sister's bed, and wrapped my arms around her and fell asleep. I'm like, "Oh, okay," she just wanted to be with his sister. School was tough. We did a lot of speech therapy, learning how to lip read, and just a lot of stuff went over our heads. Family life was great. It was wonderful. You know, me and Melanie had each other. Our family was good. We could lip read a little bit with them. School was awful. I hated it. You know, maybe if I had learned sign, I might have enjoyed it more, but, you know, who knows? I don't blame anyone. At that time, my parents were like, you know, it's a hearing world. It's important to learn how to function in a hearing world and learn how to talk and lip read. So we spent a lot of time doing that. My dad was an audiologist, so he helped us practice our speech, plus our school worked with us. And so we had bad experiences with our speech therapist teachers. We'd always talk to each other and vent and then let it go and try to move forward. You know, school and high school was tough. No one talked to us. You know, at that time, a lot of people were afraid of deaf people, so they just kind of looked away, gave us a little wave, and just walked away. So it was always kind of awkward and lonely. You know, and then after we graduated in high school, we met another deaf girl who had a very similar life experience to us. We started learning from her. We went to a deaf branch, and, you know, we just fell in love with sign language. My oldest sister, Sandy, was like, "Hey, you know what, let's go to the library." And I was like, "Oh, the library? I don't want to go there. I hate the library." Because it's just, you know, a lot of reading. I don't understand any of it. So she was like, "Yeah, come with me." So we went and got some romance books, and the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew books, you know, mystery stories that were very popular, teenage stories back then. So we got some of those books and read, and I was just like, oh, she's like, do you understand the first paragraph? And I was like, no. So she'd read it and explain it to us. Sandy was very good at facial expressions and explaining it so that we could understand, and so, you know, kind of painted a picture for us, and I could understand a paragraph, you know, and understand the context of it, and I was like, oh, that's what it's talking about. And then I picked it up after that and fell in love with reading, you know, romance stories and mystery books. You know, I don't love reading huge books, but the smaller ones I really like reading, and so I was very thankful for that experience. My life accomplishments for me would be my family. You know, growing up I always wanted to be a mom. I always, you know, looked up to my mom and wanted to do the same things as her, and I was like, I'll have 8 kids too. But no, I ended up with 5 kids. That was enough for me. But that was really my biggest accomplishment, you know, trying to do my best as a mom and raise my kids and just, you know, just be a stay-at-home, full-time mom. That was my goal.